always, new at 3. Last month, Governor Bill Lee marked the close of the 2025 legislative session with the successful passage of a $59.5 billion budget. Lawmakers filed almost 3,000 bills this session and nearly 600 of them passed, several of which Governor Lee has already signed. Here to talk more about some of the new laws that could affect you at home is Senator Ramesh Akbari of Memphis. Senator, welcome back to the 3 o'clock. Always good to see you. How have you been?
You know, I'm feeling a little better now that I'm in Memphis and not Nashville.
Rested. You really look rested
little bit.
After this last session, for sure. Was there one bill, one law in particular that kind of grabbed your attention that a lot of us have been talking about that could also affect a lot of folks coming up?
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty robust session, I think. A lot of stuff from the federal level trickled down, particularly around diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think we've seen some folks in Memphis who are particularly upset about what that means for local governments to have minority requirements.
Why should they be concerned about that for those who have not been following this closely?
Well, the reason why you have minority requirements within contracts is so that qualified people are actually able to be a part of a project. And so primarily white women are the ones that are going to be impacted by it, unfortunately. But it creates a more level playing field for people who are qualified. That's the key thing. They are qualified.
Do you think there will be more discussion on this in an upcoming session, or is this pretty much a done deal here?
I mean, I think it's a done deal. We'll see, because again, this will impact the city of Memphis, the county schools, their ability to contract.
You mentioned schools. So much focus this session was also on students, also the status of some students, whether they should be enrolled in some of our schools. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I thought that was a particularly cruel bill. I mean, you had children who have, through no fault of their own, are undocumented. For 40 years, that has been the law of the land. The Supreme Court has already addressed this, and it would essentially say if you are 5 years old trying to go to kindergarten, a school district has an option not to enroll you or to charge you tuition. Fortunately, that bill failed. We heard from Republican House Caucus Chairman Faison, and he said this is something that we never would have passed. The Supreme Court likely wouldn't take it up, and it's, you know, we have to think about Jesus loves little children. Is that really what we want to spend our time doing? Yeah.
I know there was also some people out there saying that bill in particular could have ended up costing some of the schools more themselves. Do you agree with that assessment?
They would have had to, every child, regardless of their status, when they registered, would have had to prove their documentation status. It definitely would have taken more staff. It would have made the process for registering a child a lot more difficult. So yeah, it would have had a lot of intended and unintended consequences.
Also, schools here in Memphis, MSCS, probably collectively breathing a sigh of relief because the state takeover or intervention, as some lawmakers like to call it, did not pass, or it was stalled at least. Where do we stand with that?
So right now, 2 different versions have passed, one in the House, one in the Senate. The Senate version, I think, is still a step too far. However, it allows a lot more local control. If a school board member is removed by the state, the local government, the local governing body, so that would be the county commission, gets to reappoint. Whereas in the other legislation, it really does take complete control from the school board and puts an appointed board of managers in place.
I know for the first time in a long time, it seems like here in Memphis and Shelby County, we are really talking about education quite a bit these days. What are you hoping, though, locally we can learn from this almost potential debacle? And do you hope there will be a better relationship, can there be, with state lawmakers like yourself and county commissioners who could still have some type of oversight?
Yeah, so I really hope that we focus on the children, right? If we look at Memphis Shelby County schools, while they have a way to go, they have been a level 5 school, which means that they've had level 5, the highest level of growth you can have. So I hope that we get out of the mess of, you know, who was fired, who wasn't, how they were fired, all of those things, and we say, listen, we have an interim superintendent now. It's up to us on a state, local, and school board level to work together to make sure there's adequate funding, adequate resources, that our teachers are certified, that our students are getting the interventions they need.
When it comes to our young people, we have heard so many cases recently about gun violence. So many of our young people have been injured, or some even left for dead. Where can we go with this on a state level?
So the hard part is Tennessee is an open carry state. Right now, gun violence or shooting, so unintentional usually, is the #1 killer of children in this country. We're an open carry state. Tennessee is a little different. Other parts of Tennessee are a little different from Memphis in that we're a more congested area as opposed to a rural area. So we really should have some discretion around open carry where you can have a gun without a permit. Unfortunately, local efforts to engage have really stalled. There's not any leeway there.
One last thing I do want to ask you about, there have been so many people weighing in recently about the XAI supercomputer. A lot of pros, a lot of cons. It seems like no one is right there in between. Where do you stand on this?
So the way I see it is, yes, we have to support economic development, but we certainly cannot do it at the cost of a community that has historically been mistreated and not given the whole truth. And so that's what I'm looking for. What turbines are actually being used? What is the what is the environmental impact? What is the air quality impact? What is the water impact? If we can get some of the politics out of it, whether you support Elon Musk or not, if we can get some of the politics out of it, I think, and actually get that data, which is what I'm seeking to get from I'll be reaching out to the county and the state health departments to really see. That's my take, right? Like, we cannot shut down progress, but at the same time, we cannot do it on the backs of people who deserve clean air and clean water.
Senator, always good to have you here at 3 o'clock. Please come back.
My pleasure.
All right,
Thank
look forward
you.
to it. Thank you.